Hey everyone, it's Adele. Today I'm going to teach you about how being happy for others' success as if it were your own guarantees your own success later in life. And I'm going to give you some examples of a time in my life where I wasn't happy for someone else and how that messed me up, and a time when someone was not happy for me and how that ruined their opportunities. I'm also going to give you some tips and tricks on how to basically bring in the life you want, the people, the things, the experiences that you want to have, and be able to bring out more of your gifts to the world. So if that sounds good to you, please click the like button, grab some tea, and let's get started. So first of all, why should you listen to me on this topic? I find a lot of times, especially on the internet, there are people who just want to go out and talk about things, and you might think, well, what does this person have that qualifies them to give any advice to me? So let me tell you a bit about myself. I would say I'm a person that people consider lucky, right? People would just shake their head and smile like, Adele, how come things always, good things always happen to you? How come you always get exactly what you want? Why does everything always work out for you, no matter how bleak it may seem? And I've actually been like that my whole life. I have defied statistics based on my childhood. I came from a very abusive childhood. I was raised by a single mom. She had boyfriends in and out of the house. We were on welfare. She was smoking. I was chronically ill. I'm a hypersensitive person. I'm an extrasensory person. And being in that environment, it made me ill. Very, very ill. And so I've also cheated death numerous times. Near-death experiences where if a doctor had come in and looked at me, they'd be like, this is a dead person. But there were life-saving people there who brought me back into this experience. And so I have some insight on the world and on human beings and the meaning of life and God based on those experiences as well. Growing up, I was always curious for people who had more than I did, which was almost everyone. And I was always happy for others' success. And I think we've all heard the saying, if you hang around with 5 intelligent people, you'll be the 6th intelligent person. If you hang around with 5 well-connected people, you'll be the 6th well-connected person. If you hang around with 5 fools, you're going to be the 6th fool. And one thing I also know for sure is that you can't achieve for yourself what you envy in someone else if you are upset about someone else having it. So we're going to talk about that, how it plays in with the mind and the deeper aspects of that in this video. I grew up in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada in the 80s. It was a good time to be alive back then. This was before the internet existed. There were no cell phones. Life was much more simple. I grew up playing in the park, doing chores on a farm. We had family friends who had a farm. I would go out there and reading, and I actually always felt rich. There was a library within walking distance, and I learned to read when I was 2 years old, and I became obsessed with reading. And so my brother was the same way as well. And we would go and we'd walk to this library and we'd have endless, founts of knowledge and books to bring back and borrow and movies. And we inundated ourselves with information and stories about the human experience. And, children lived around the world. I would always take care of hurt animals. So I always felt well in that way, that I would be finding birds and keeping them in a shoebox, feeding them things. I suppose I didn't realize there were times when, we would go hungry, right? Because the welfare check, it runs out by the end of the month, and so you have a couple of weeks where the fridge and the cupboards are bare. But I didn't have a social construct for that in my mind. I didn't think what that meant. To me, it was just a fact of life. It was the way things were. So Although there were certain aspects of lack that got into my mind from those experiences, I didn't create a story about it that affected my life, right? Because as we get older, we have experiences like that, like say we can't pay our bills and our job doesn't pay us enough, we start creating these stories in our mind, right? We start creating these stories about, oh, I'm poor, I can't earn enough, being alive is hard, society is hard to function in. We start creating these stories, but when we're kids, you don't have that. And so I think somehow I was really lucky that that wasn't really something that stuck with me in that way. So I always felt rich. I didn't really think about money or things like that. I was never really interested in that. I felt that I had a rich experience. I was engaged in life. I was also really resourceful. I loved coming up with ways to make money. I was the first person in my school and in my neighborhood, young person, to get jobs, right? People always tell me, how'd you get that job? Right? I remember I was literally in grade school and I saw a sign that said, hiring, clearing out, because there was a store called Byway and it was clearing out and it was closing down. They need people to go and clean. And so I went and I got a job there, and I think I was making $3.50 or $5 an hour, which was amazing to me, right? As a kid. And I worked there the one day, and then I went back to school. My friend said, how'd you get a job? So I got 3 of my friends from school to come to Byway with me, and they got jobs too. I remember they said, your parents have to sign this and say it's okay, and that was it. So yeah, we went and we used dustpans and we cleaned things up and we packed merchandise, and eventually, because me and all my friends were there, we started goofing off near the end of the shift, and like, okay, well, here, thank you for helping, and I think we're good from here. But I used to shovel snow. I was really small and skinny and weak, but I was determined to do a really good job. And I would tell people, $20 and I'll shovel your whole snow sidewalk. Now back then, I feel like it's really gotten less over the years, significantly less. But back then, and of course because I'm taller, but the snow back then was high. Like, you could have trouble opening your door in the morning. So I'm telling them, yeah, I'll do your walkway and in front of your house for $20. It's not a horrible deal. And I think a lot of people just looked at me and they knew I was the poor kid in town. I had the big glasses, but I just had this real spirit, and I think a lot of them felt sorry for me and they paid me to do it. Anyway, I think I started realizing that I had less than other people when I started comparing myself to my friends. That was like when it first kind of hit me. If I had just continued my life in that way, I never would have thought I was poor, really. And I think that's what happens to a lot of us. Outside of a certain context, when we look at what we have, we could be so happy with it. We could compare what we have to someone in a third world country, or even someone in our own city or town that lives in the poor part of town, right? There are people in our own neighborhoods who can't afford to eat or to get to work. But oftentimes we don't compare ourselves to those people. We compare ourselves to people who have something that we do not. So for me, I had this friend who she was well off, right? I can't remember exactly, but I think her mother was a nurse and her dad was like a property or real estate developer or something like that. And I talked about it in a previous video, how when I went to her house, it was the first place that I'd seen an island kitchen, right? A kitchen where it's like an island is not flat against the wall, and it had a beautiful skylight over top. And, she had all the coolest things. So I go over there and, she had the big trampoline in the backyard. She had all the cool newest video games and everything else. I never felt jealous about that. I felt excited to go and share in those things with her. But she did have things that I began to covet. I began to see them and want them. I remember I used to have big birthday parties at my house. You might be wondering, how does someone on welfare have a big birthday party? Why would a mother who does not like her daughter throw her a big birthday party? You can think about that and come to your own conclusions. I can make an entire other video about that. But anyway, yeah, my friends, I had a lot of friends when I was younger. Not anymore. We had a sleepover, and then, everyone had a great time. They left in the morning, and it turned out that my well-off friend had left her beautiful purple zip-up. It was like a hoodie before hoodies were cool. And I just remember it was so beautiful. It was like kind of well made. It had like little patches that were like kind of silky, and it was this beautiful purple feminine color. And I looked like a boy. There were numerous times, right, where people would tell my mother, "Oh, you have 3 beautiful sons," right? And then I'd have to say, I'm actually a girl, and they would say, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and it would be embarrassing, right? But I didn't have these nice things, right? I didn't look cute and pretty. I wasn't put together. I didn't have matching outfits. So when I saw this purple cardigan, I just thought, oh, this, oh, it's so beautiful. And I used to wear it around the house, right? And for a couple of days, and my mother was saying, you should give that back. And in my mind, I thought, oh, I will. I'm not going to steal it from my friend, but, I'll do it in my own time. So I remember one day, this is about a week later, we went to the Taco Bell for dinner, my family. We walked to the Taco Bell. It wasn't really like the happening spot, it was often pretty quiet. We went there, and what was I doing? I thought, you know what? I'm gonna wear my beautiful purple cardigan. So we walk in, we order, we wait for our food, we go and sit down, and we're sitting there for a little while. And eventually my brother kind of elbows me, and I look, and over at another table is my friend and her family. And I quickly look away, and I'm thinking, oh no, because I'm wearing this girl's sweater, right, that I just loved and felt so special in. And eventually she called me and she waved, and I knew she had to have seen me wearing it, and I waved back. And her and her family were such good-natured people. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I at that point, I took a minute or two. I took the sweater off. I walked over with my head down, and I handed it to her. I didn't look her in the eye, I just handed her the sweater, and she took it, and I went and sat back down. So that sweater was something that, I felt bad about. I felt like my way of getting that sweater was to get it from someone else. And then eventually, you grow up and you realize, hey, I can get my own sweater. I can have many sweaters. I can have purple velvet dresses. It's great to see something that someone else has and think, wow, I want that, right? There's nothing wrong with that. That's called envy, right? You see something and you want it. The problem, right, the trouble comes in is when you have jealousy, which is when you see someone with something and you're angry at them for having it, or you just have these ill feelings towards them because they have it. I'm going to share a quick story about that. I experienced someone reacting to me in that way. When I first came to Calgary, I had joined groups on Meetup to meet new people, and I actually met some great people, only a couple. I went to a YouTubers meetup, and I thought, oh, cool, maybe there's some YouTubers in Calgary. Maybe there's some cool ones. Now, this was when my success on YouTube was rather high at that time. I was still a full-time YouTuber. I was making lots of money on my channel. I had brand deals, sponsorships. I was selling my digital products. I was getting Amazon commissions. I was doing consultations. But I knew that going to a meeting where there's probably going to be smaller creators, I thought, I'm not gonna tell too much about myself. I'm gonna be humble. I'm gonna be there just to listen and hear others' experiences. There's this one guy there, and he seemed rather professional. He was well-spoken, and I looked at his videos later, and they were they seemed professional. He seemed like he had a good personality online, great way of talking, interesting ideas. But then at the meeting, he was telling me, and he was saying it in a proud way. He was saying, I've uploaded a video. I've uploaded regularly on YouTube for 10 years. And I think it was 10 years. I can't remember how long it was, but it was a super long time. And I was thinking, whoa, I was thinking whoa, this guy is probably, he can give me some advice. He's probably, got like some crazy thing going on. And so I was really blown away. I didn't, I normally don't ask questions like this because it can be seen as rude, right? But I was really curious because I thought, whoa, like all that effort, if I put that much effort in, I can't imagine what would happen, right? So I asked him, like, that's amazing. How did you keep up that schedule? And I said, like, how many subscribers do you have? And that's what he told me, that he has 1,000 subscribers. 1,000 subscribers after uploading regularly for 10 years. Now, I could tell after he said that, he didn't really feel too good about it. I noticed that if people would talk to me or ask me questions, he would kind of seem dismissive and like he was not paying attention. And I actually realized he knew me from someone else who knew me from YouTube. So this guy, I'm quite certain, knew who I was. And I actually found out that a lot of times people will Google people who are coming to the meetup. So they'll see who's coming. They can reverse search your image, your picture or whatever, find you and find out what you're doing and stuff. Anyway, so after that awkward moment where he told me he only had 1,000 subscribers, I was thinking and I felt, really bad for that. And the thing is, as an entrepreneur, my mind works to solve problems. I hear a problem someone's having and I get excited. I think, oh, let's figure out what's wrong. Like, how can we fix it? How can we completely change this around for you, right? And so I immediately started thinking. I started thinking about engineers I'd spoken to at YouTube Space in LA at the studio about the algorithm and the things they told me. There are some times when the algorithm can get jammed or you can get a bug and you're just legitimately, your channel's just not gonna happen for you, right? And there are certain things you can do to kind of restart it, or sometimes you have to start over again. There's tests you can run. And at that time, I had a brand manager at YouTube in San Francisco that I was working with. And I thought, oh, I could ask her about this. Maybe she could help him. And I got really excited in my mind. But because of like how I saw his energy just change towards me, and actually he did have strange energy towards me when I walked in. So I'm sure that, something strange was going on. I just kind of had this weird feeling, So anyway, I left and I thought about it and I thought, I would like to help this person, I thought, I wonder if he would accept my help. And so the back of my mind, I was like, oh, he's got weird feelings towards you. You're not 100%. You can tell something's up with him. And I thought, no, girl, you're just being too sensitive. But then I thought, you know what? Okay, let me go look this guy up online. So I looked him up and he actually had a Twitter. And I went on his Twitter and it turns out that, I don't know, very shortly after, like within an hour of our meeting, this person went and tweeted, oh, some people work really hard and don't get anywhere, and others just hit the jackpot. Must be nice to have such an easy life, or something like that, or something like where everything just works out for you, or just some like bitter, nasty thing that confirmed the feeling that I kind of got from this person. And because of that, that was it. I was like, you know what? Forget it. I'm not calling YouTube San Francisco. I'm not gonna get the engineers to look into it for him. Like, nothing. Like, forget it. Like, and so it's like that person's attitude ruined that opportunity for them with me. Now, we don't get angry about someone else having something that we want unless we have a subconscious belief that we also can't get it, right? Because I told you guys, my whole life, and there have been some instances where it's not the case, and I'll talk about those, but in general, I get excited for other people's success because I think, oh my God, someone did it. That means I can have it too, right? I don't think, oh, now there's less for me, or, oh, must be nice that it's so easy, right? I don't have that attitude at all, but there are some people who have that attitude. And what that does is it reaffirms in your subconscious mind your reality, right? Because our subconscious mind creates our reality on the screen of space in front of us. And we really can't, many people never realize this, right? When we're young, we don't really know what's going on. We're bathed in our environment, right? We are trained by our parents, right? And we're surrounded in the environment that they create for us. But when you become aware of your subconscious mind and how your thoughts create your reality, and you know what, for those of you, if any of you feel like that's kind of a woo-woo thing, oh, your thoughts create your reality. Well, if you don't want to think of it in an energetic or a woo-woo kind of way, think about it in a logical way. If you have thoughts in your brain that tell you you can't do things, or you're not going to succeed, or other people have more than you, are you going to be motivated to do those things or to attempt to get those for yourself? No, you're not. You guys remember him from my farm video? Speedy and Cody Boy. One way to become aware of your subconscious programming or your negative emotions around the topics of jealousy is to be aware to how you react to people who get love without having to do what you thought you had to do to get love. An example of this for me would be, I remember getting really upset when I would see people on social media who would get acclaim or like or popular by posting a picture of them with some cleavage out and a very generic quote. I would get really upset in the past, right? And that is because I always felt I had to be different, unique, special, go the extra mile in order to get love or attention. So when I see someone else just like, click, reach for the stars, even if you don't land among the stars, you'll hit the sky, or whatever the hell that quote is, just some like cliche quote. And you know, they get hundreds of thousands of likes and shares and, you know, sales and everything else. That used to make me upset. Another example might be, let's say someone who felt they had to be perfect in school to win the love of their parents. Let's say they have a kid who is terrible in school, and they have their co-parent who still loves that kid anyway. The parent may find within them that they're upset, they don't like it, they feel angry, they feel resentful towards the kid or towards the, you know, their spouse who's giving their kid love. And oftentimes people don't question these kind of things, but these kind of strange emotions are so useful in figuring out what's going on inside, what things we have to heal from, what things we need to work through still. And never resist your emotions. This is something that I've learned. Resisting things in life tend to make them build up or come back stronger. Emotions are like breath. They come in and they go out. They come in and they go out, right? Because oftentimes we create thoughts around our emotions, and the thoughts are what really cause the problem as well. Don't think, oh, I can't think those thoughts. Oh, I shouldn't feel those feelings. Just think, oh, that's an interesting thought. Thought doesn't have to be true, doesn't have to mean anything. You don't have to act on it. You can just think, be aware of the thought, and let it go. I remember hearing about some historic lottery win in Florida and finding out it was a young man who won it, just an extremely young man. And oh, I was so excited. I remember being so excited as if I had won it myself. The guy's name is Shane Misler, and it turns out he's actually a really cool kid. And I think he might have been like 18 or 19 when he won this. He was like of the legal age. I think it was something like 175 million or something like that. You want to know what's really funny? When I heard that he won, I went and looked up his Facebook page, and it was open at the time, right? Because his win was still recent and he hadn't been warned, like, close everything down and don't, you know. But he had a quote from Neville Goddard on there about the power of the mind to create reality. And he had a public quote from that on his Facebook page a few weeks before he won this lottery, this historic lottery. And I knew it, right? I knew that in my experience in my life, that being aware of my mind, my mental state, I created my own reality, right? I wanted to become an entrepreneur. I wanted to make a 6-figure business online, and I did that. I just felt really good seeing that. I felt so affirmed in that, and I felt so happy for that guy who won that. And I think we should all kind of remember when we see someone else's success that we should be happy for them as if it were our own success, because essentially we're all cells in the body of God. We are all a part of God, and we're all in this together. It'd be kind of like if you had one finger getting mad that the other finger had more than it, or got something more than it, without without being aware that we're on the same hand, and this hand is on part of the same body, right? And we're all little pieces of the body of God going out in the world. So what anyone else has, be grateful that that aspect of you has what they have, right? Because everyone is an aspect of you. Well, that's it for today. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.